Welcome to the Daily Items one-on-one interview series. Today's guest is new Sunbury City Administrator Derrick Backer, interviewed by Scarcella.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Francis Scarcella, and this week we're being joined with the new Sunbury City Administrator Derrick Backer. Derrick, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to go forward before we go backward because I understand that you have a ton of experience in this field. So first, being the new city administrator, you're coming in after former administrator Jody Ocker was here, and before she was here, there was none. So the odds are, as they say, how long do you think you're going to be here, and what are your plans since coming on and starting to learn the lay of the land, so to speak?
Well, I definitely want to be here for a very long time. I got into this job hoping to make a difference in Sunbury. I really think that my prior experience will help me impact specifically economic development. I've had multiple jobs experience with grants, and I really want to see Sunbury flourish economically, especially with the bypass going in very soon. So I want to prepare for that.
So you were the president of SRI before you came here, correct? Executive director of SRI.
Executive director, correct.
Sir. So with that being said, that obviously is a huge economical impact in Sunbury. And so what are some of the things that you saw, why you wanted to take this job, and what do you think can be done in downtown Sunbury? Because as you know, we've covered a million different things about businesses coming in and out of Sunbury all the time. So what are your plans with that?
What I noticed with my time at SRI, I noticed, obviously, like a lot of other citizens, the vacancies downtown. You have a main street that has multiple properties that are vacant, and really trying to figure out and decipher what is the reason for this. Because sometimes they say, as the municipality does as well as the main street does, basically, and that's the first thing people see is the main street. So you want to have a very good impression. And from my understanding and from what I've gathered and seen, it's conditions of buildings. They're just not ready for tenants, basically, as far as businesses go. And my goal is to ensure that with that new commercial property ordinance, that these buildings are brought up to code and maintained and are ready for the businesses that ultimately want to come to Sunbury.
Have you been in contact with any businesses? Have you been out there putting feelers out already?
We're currently, since it's a new ordinance, and I'm really
explain the ordinance first so people know what the ordinance is.
So the ordinance is basically just trying to, it gives the code office, through a third party, the enforcement to go into a commercial building to make sure that it's up to code, basically, which we did not have prior. So it just gives us the ability to make sure that the electric's done correctly, there's no black mold, things of that nature that would be hazardous, or truthfully a young entrepreneur or any entrepreneur does not want to come into a building with that kind of situation. So we're just trying to make sure that everything is up to snuff, so to speak, and get everything ready for enticing businesses to come here. That is the ground, that is the floor.
Has code been going out, starting the...
We haven't started that yet, mainly because it's a new ordinance. There was a transition period, obviously, and COVID has, like everything else, has hampered a lot of different things. So we're hoping to get that started when it gets warmer.
And you were starting to say, so is there anything on the horizon that you know about that you want to talk about?
So I mean, with Drive coming into the county, not even just Sunbury, into the county, that is a huge boost to the county.
And Drive is the people who were got the former mill.
Correct. And they also, on behalf of the county, are in charge of the textile site, or in collaboration with the county, I should say, Celtech site. And we want to make sure whatever or whenever something goes in there that we are prepared as a city of our portion to help entice those businesses or a business or businesses to go into there and provide good paying jobs for the citizens.
Now, before we get into what you plan on doing here in 2021, obviously with COVID starting off again with many restrictions, just tell us a little bit about your background and where you came from. And I know you worked for State Representative Culver as well. And you had a lot.
I worked with State Representative Culver on numerous issues. I worked in government relations in Harrisburg, and truthfully, politics. For the most part, since I graduated college from Bloomsburg University. I've been in New Jersey, worked on New Jersey state budget as a legislative director. I've been a political director and also a campaign manager for a now congressman. So it's been a lot of political work, and it's led me down a lot of different paths and allowed me to make a lot of contacts and gain a lot of experience. Fortunately, with politics, it takes you away from home a lot. And I wasn't able to use my knowledge and utilize my knowledge for the community that I am a part of, in my area that I'm a part of. So when the opportunity of SRI came up, I took that knowing that I could make an impact in my area that I reside in. And that was the reason I really wanted to leave the political world and start making a difference locally.
And now you're here in Sunbury and you're prepared, and I know you've been working on grants and getting your feet wet, and we'll talk about all that when we come back, and we'll be right back. So we're back this week. Derrick Backer, new Sunbury City Administrator. So 2021, what's the plans? What grants are the city going after, and where do we go from here?
Well, truthfully, the first step for me was making sure that we have a grant process within the city for approval. Grants always, I won't say always, mostly require matching funds. And I wanted to make sure that everything that we go for grant-wise is voted on by the council to ensure that they know we're going for this and it's going to require this much money as a match, as far as a match goes. The reason for this is, it's taxpayer money. I want to make sure that everything is up to snuff with that. So that is the first step that I am doing grant-wise. There's going to be potentially quite a few grants that we can go for that involve helping small businesses, economic development tied into the Cellotech site and streets, as well as potentially parks and rec grants to develop certain parks in the areas. I can't say for sure just because, again, since I put in that new process, there's no guarantee that we will go for them because the council votes on them. I think that's a good thing, truthfully.
Is there a lot of grants out there that probably the city wasn't going after before?
In my opinion, yes. Grants, again, there's no guarantee you get grants, and they do require matching funds a lot of the time. However, Sunbury is very well situated to go after numerous grants, depending on what the city wants to do. I mean, we have obviously natural resources in our area that you can go for. We have old brownfield that we can go for certain economic grants in collaboration with the county. We have blight. There's blight grants. There's obviously roadway grants and things of that nature, and parks and rec. We have a lot of, in my opinion, needs within the community, and there's a ton of grants that can fit those needs.
Are you going to work with the Redevelopment Authority pretty hands-on?
Absolutely. Yep, I've been in contact with them multiple times already, and definitely going to be a close collaboration with them in this in my current position, and truthfully, I knew most of them beforehand anyway.
So when you were hired, they kind of explained it as you weren't going to be as much involved in some of the other departments as much as more focused on and eventually get to there, but right now focus on the main things. So tell us, what are the three biggest things that you're going to focus on during this first year here in Sunbury?
Well, first thing I want to work on is making sure that there are no silos per se within the community partnerships and also within the departments in in-house in the city.
Meaning,
Meaning code, for instance. I'm going to have to work with code because it's economic development. There's not just me working on economic development. Code has to be part of that. There's obviously administrative portions that DPW sometimes takes care of blighted properties that the city owns. That has to do with maintenance, so to speak. That comes into a economic development standpoint as well. So it's not just me working on economic development and it's just me. There's definitely other hands pitching in various ways.
Sure. So economic development is one. What would be the second one?
Definitely. The second thing is I definitely want to make sure that we are collaborating and moving forward. Again, it is with economic development, but more so in partnerships. We're all rowing in the same direction. I want to make sure that we all have a path forward, getting things done for this city. We have a lot of resources. We have Lackawanna College, we have SRI, we have tons of businesses on the main street that obviously have a lot of say and should have a lot of input on what happens in the city. I want to make sure everything is taken into consideration and we're all growing and going to that one goal and not just going here, there, and everywhere.
How about as far as community relations now with Sunbury's? Obviously, Sunbury's a lot of time is in the news for various other things, crime and so forth. And what are your plans on that?
So community relations, I really want to make sure that, number one, I do want to throw out there that if anybody has any suggestions of anything or want to get a part of community relations, to contact me. I want to make sure that I'm as available as possible to the citizens of Sunbury, because great ideas always start with a conversation. So I'm never going to say no to a conversation. And to get involved with the community, I really want to be involved as much as possible with everything I can be, whether that is community events, community partnerships, United Way, anything I could be a part of to make a difference and truthfully get to know every citizen possible. That is what I want to do.
Last couple of things. How about the Sunbury Community Hospital, UPMC?
Yes. So there are some developments, not huge developments, that I can't quite say at this point, but I am working on that, and I will be continuing working on that as much as possible with Representative Culver and in the Senator's office.
For another hospital?
Oh, for the, you mean
You
for...
said development, so I got to ask you.
No, I don't want to give that impression.
Yeah.
No, working on what we can do with that property and what it could be utilized.
So it's not a hospital. Just,
No.
okay.
No. It definitely, at this point, is not a hospital. Just working with them toward whatever is best for the community for that. Still working out that, still working with UPMC. And I know Representative Culver's office has taken the lead, I would say, on those communications. But I'm always here and always working with them as closely as possible.
The new Sunbury Police Department.
Yes.
On Arch Street. Tell me about what you think of that.
I think it's a great location. I think it's a great thing. Our civil service really does need a great location to do their work and a new location and a healthy location. I think the current location was good for the time being, but as far as needs go for police department, as their specific needs within a building, it just wasn't adequate. And this building on Arch Street allows them to reconfigure things within there to make it accessible and usable as a police department that will not hinder and hurt the citizens in the surrounding area.
Right. Being the Sunbury Police Department at one time had 12 or 13 officers and now they're down, do you feel that they need more officers in Sunbury?
I don't necessarily think I feel that they need more. I think that if my ultimate goal, we gain more citizens, yes, I agree. We should have more police officers. My job and my goal is to grow Sunbury and economically and comes with that citizens. So ultimately, if we get more police officers, that means we have more citizens and that means we have more jobs. That's a good thing to me.
And the last two things are probably two of the biggest things that people will be wanting to know. Sunbury Riverfest, obviously you have experience with that because you didn't get to have one last year.
Yes, correct.
And Sunbury Celebration. What are your hopes, thoughts, plans, and where's it going to be?
So Sunbury River Festival, still working on some. I don't want to speak for SRI, but still working on some kinks as far as where the location can be. There's potential for quite a bit of road work this summer, and obviously, no one knows what's going to happen with COVID, and that just changes so many things. So regardless, we're going to have to be thinking on our feet and moving. But the hope is that we can have it, and we can have. No guarantee where it's going to be, but we can have it, and every citizen that wants to come and enjoy it can enjoy it.
Right. Well, see, in the fall, there was a couple of various events throughout the city where they held at the park. And, I mean, people came and they socially distanced and all that.
Yeah.
So is that something that at least the city is saying we can do this now?
Yeah, the city, as long as we're following the Department of Health, PA Department of Health guidelines, we're definitely willing to work within those parameters. But ultimately, whoever's applying, if it's not a city event, if it's up to whoever's applying for those permits and allowances, if they want to do that or not. So, but we're always willing to work with organizations, of course.
Well, we appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll check back in with you periodically to see how things are going.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.